As you may know, I'm really passionate about connecting to nature, and this summer I discovered a new way to do it, being barefoot. Now, I find that being barefoot really grounds me in the moment and in the place. I find it helps me to be mindful where I am, and it's not an exaggeration to say it has revolutionised my experience of the outdoors. However, it's not always possible to be barefoot, and so I've also discovered a barefoot shoe called Vivobarefoot, which is the next best thing. The shoes are wide, they're thin, they're flexible, and they still allow me to feel what's going on underneath through all those nerve endings in my feet to keep me mindful and to keep me present and grounded where I am. Now, I want to be completely honest with you about the content and the purpose of this video. This is a partnership with ReVivo, which is a branch of Vivobarefoot, whose sole aim is to keep shoes on our feet and out of landfill longer. There's several ways that they go about doing this, and ReVivo got in touch and asked me to help share them with you. This is a whole new way of thinking about how we buy, how we make, and how we dispose of shoes at the end of their life. And I feel really passionately that this is a great step forward to reducing the amount of shoes that end up in landfill every year. Now, I didn't know this, but more than 24 billion pairs of shoes are made each year. 24 billion pairs of shoes every year, and more than 99% of them end up in landfill, often within the first year of them being bought. Now, this is obviously a huge issue for pollution and also for resource exploitation and depletion. There has to be a better way to do it, and that has to come with acknowledging what's going to happen to those shoes at the end of their life so that they don't end up in landfill. This is what ReVivo is trying to address, and there are several ways that they're trying to keep perfectly good shoes out of landfill and on our feet for longer. The first is through their repairs and refresh service. So this summer I had a pair of Vivobarefoot trackers, which very quickly became the best pair of shoes I've ever worn in my entire life. I wore them all summer when I wasn't on the water. I wore them to hike up mountains, to splash in the sea, to haul rope out of the water. I really put them through their paces, and by the end of the summer they were looking a little bit tired. Rather than them going to landfill when there's still loads of life in them, there's a service from ReVivo to send your Vivobarefoot shoes, which still have a bit of life in them, back to them where they can be refreshed, reconditioned and returned to you to stay on our feet for longer. So we don't need to keep buying new shoes and adding to this massive problem that's polluting our planet. Secondly, once you're done with your pair of Vivobarefoot shoes, if you no longer want them in your life, if they're not useful to you anymore, you can send them back to ReVivo, who will professionally clean, recondition and refurbish them, ready for resale on the ReVivo platform. You can also therefore go onto the ReVivo platform and buy a pair of professionally refurbished second-hand shoes at a fraction of the price that they would cost new on the Vivobarefoot website. I personally found this really helpful when I started running again after paddling for several months, and I wanted to try out barefoot running, having spent most of the summer barefoot or in barefoot shoes. And I didn't want to pay full price for a pair of running shoes, so I got them much cheaper on the ReVivo site, and they have been brilliant. They arrived in really fantastic condition. In fact, they looked pretty much new to me. Thirdly, the ReVivo platform sells old stock and old styles, which are often brand new, or shoes which have been returned, which are in perfectly usable condition for a lot less than they would have been new on the Vivobarefoot website. This is great if you've had your eye on a style and then all of a sudden it's gone off the Vivobarefoot website. You can check on ReVivo to see if it's still in stock there, and it also means you can get a brand new pair of shoes for a lot less than they would have cost new on the Vivo website. Why more companies don't do this and instead landfill perfectly good shoes, I do not know. ReVivo kindly sent me several pairs of shoes to try out and put through their paces, and they arrived in a variety of conditions, from completely brand new through to really good condition but refurbished, and all of them so far have been fantastic. One of the pairs of shoes wasn't quite right for my foot size, but I've worn them outside a few times, so I know now that I can send them back to ReVivo where they'll be professionally cleaned and sold on to somebody else as a perfectly good pair of shoes. I really do think this is a fantastic way to go. Vivobarefoot shoes are made with this in mind, so that they can be repaired, they can be refreshed and they can be kept out of landfill. We don't need to be putting 24 billion pairs of shoes into landfill every year. It's madness. And I really do think that the more companies that can get on board with having the end of life consideration of their products built into them from the word go, the sooner we're going to stop the issue of polluting our planet, which gives us so much.